YouTube people. Alright, so this is going to be another recipe video, like I said, and guess what we're doing? Protein donuts, that's right. Because I've been waiting to do these for so long, and I finally got, losing my voice here, finally got the donut pans, and I'm so excited. I've got my new lighting set up, so I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. With that said, let's just jump right into it because I want to do a lot of talking for this first video. I just do want to mention though that the recipe will have butter and sugar in it, just a little bit. My goal is always to substitute out some of it, but not all of it, because I still want things to taste good. So if you guys don't like that or you don't want to do that, you can always sub something else instead. But I just want to let you guys know in advance, and yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your dusty oven to 325. So I have all my dry ingredients, all my wet ingredients, everything over here all set out. And I also have my new donut pans, which I'm so excited to use. So first thing we're going to do is just mix together all the dry ingredients like any basic recipe. So I'll show you that. So the first ingredient we're going to add is about 100 grams or half a cup plus 2 tablespoons of white flour. Put that in. Next we have 1 scoop or 28 grams of this Quest protein powder. You can use any protein powder if you'd like. I'm just using Quest all-purpose brand just because I like that it doesn't really have a flavor and it bakes really well. But any vanilla protein or cinnamon protein will work. Next thing I'm adding is 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Next I'm going to add a half teaspoon of salt. You can add a little less if you like. I like my things to have a lot of flavor, so I usually add a decent amount of salt in them. Next we're going to add our sweeteners. This one is definitely dependent on how sweet you like things, what kind of sweeteners you like to use. The blend I'm planning on using today is actually 3 different sweeteners here. So we have our truvia sweetener, which is almost 3 times as sweet as sugar, so just take that into mind when you read the ingredients for this recipe. We also have splenda here, so that one's just about the same sweetness as sugar, maybe a little sweeter. And then we just have regular sugar here. So of course I'm going to use the least amount of the regular sugar. My plan is to do about 2 tablespoons splenda, 1 tablespoon regular sugar, and a little bit of truvia just to add the extra bit of sweetness to it. So we'll see how it goes. I'll let you guys know what I end up doing in the final part. And I usually start off with a little less sweetener than you think, and then just add more towards the end if you just like give the recipe a little taste. See if it actually needs more, because it's better to undersweeten than oversweeten things. So finally, for the dry ingredients, we're going to add a pinch of cinnamon. This is optional. You can just add it on the outside of your donut if you prefer. I'm just going to put a little on the inside, and then we also have xanthan gum here. Xanthan gum is kind of like a thickener. It's a fiber, natural fiber. It just kind of like thickens up your recipe and makes it feel a little more like gluten if you're not using entirely white flour for a recipe. So that's why I like to put just like a very small pinch into all my recipes. But that, again, is totally up to you. It's not 100% necessary. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the wet ingredients. And actually, before I do that, I'm just going to give this a quick little stir. Just kind of whisk it up with a fork. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're all just going to mix everything together in the end. Now for my wet ingredients, I'm just going to mix them all in a separate bowl than the dry ingredients right now. I just thought it'd be easier, so we're just going to use the bowl the flour was in. I have here 1 egg, which we're going to start with because we're going to beat that first. I'm going to try and beat it really well just to add some air into the recipe so that the donuts are fluffier and lighter. Again, you could probably use an egg white instead of a whole egg if you really wanted to. That might actually make the donuts even fluffier if you do about a 1/4 cup of egg whites instead of a whole egg. But that's up to you and what you prefer. So after you've beaten the egg really well, we're just going to add in the rest of our ingredients. First off, we got almond milk here. You can use any milk for this recipe. I'm just using almond milk because that's what I have on hand. But again, any milk will work. Buttermilk might be really good if you use that instead. So I'm just going to do about 6 tablespoons, which equals out to about 90 milliliters. So I'll add that in here. And if you are looking for a nutrition scale like the one I'm using, I left it in the comments below. This scale is literally my favorite thing ever. It has only needed a battery replacement like once in like 2 years that I've had it. Probably more than 2 years. And it's been just amazing. You can program certain ingredients into it. It's just very cool. If you are looking for a nutrition scale, I highly recommend this one. Anyways, moving on. The next thing I'm gonna add is 1 tablespoon of melted butter. I'm gonna toss that in there. Try and get every last drop. And once you have that in there, just give it a little stir just so that if your butter is really hot, it doesn't end up cooking your egg or something. Because I definitely had that happen before. And then the next thing I'm gonna add is some vitafiber syrup here. If you don't have vitafiber syrup, you can use an extra 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of protein powder if you prefer. This is just something that's gonna add a little more fiber to the recipe. It's low sugar. It's just a syrup. It's actually what they used to use to make Quest bars if you're interested. But yeah, it kind of acts like a flour in a recipe. So that's why I'm adding it in instead of flour. So we're just going to do 30 grams of this. And then lastly, we're just going to add a little bit of vanilla extract, about a half teaspoon. I'm just going to estimate here. Alright, good enough. And then we're just going to stir that up. Okay, and now that we have our dry ingredients ready, our wet ingredients ready, we're going to do the most typical thing, and we're going to mix our wet ingredients in with the dry ingredients. Pretty simple. So in the end, you'll end up with a super thick batter like this. If your batter isn't quite as thick, it might just be because of the protein powder that you used. Quest protein usually mixes it up a lot thicker than other proteins, so you can always just add a little less liquid if you'd like to. And also the xanthan gum will be another reason that this turned out as thick as it is. But yeah, so now we're just going to pour this into our donut pans. So of course, before pouring our batter into the pan, I'm just going to spray all of it with some coconut oil here. You can use Pam, any sort of grease for it. It's up to you. If you don't have a donut pan, you could try and use a muffin pan. I know it doesn't work quite as well, but honestly I've done it in the past and it still tastes good, so it definitely is an option. It just might not look like a donut. So the technique I'm using to put it into the pans neatly, or at least try to, is just scraping it with a spatula into a plastic bag, and then I'm just going to cut off the corner of the plastic bag so I can pipe it in. And if you do have a piping bag, go ahead and use that instead, because I'm sure that would be much easier. So I apologize, my camera kind of died during the end of that, but literally all I'm doing is, like I said, putting it in a plastic Ziploc bag and then piping it by cutting off the end right into the donut molds. And again, if you don't have a bag, feel free to use a piping bag, plastic bag, anything. Even if you have to, you can always scrape the batter in. This is just a little bit of an easier technique. Great, so once you got them piped, they should just look like this. I filled them about 3/4 of the way full. I got 8 out of this, which was kind of what I expected. So it worked out really well. And yeah, now I'm just going to throw them in the oven, and it should be about 8 or 9 minutes until they're done, but I'm going to keep an eye on them just because I know they're quite small. But yeah, let's see how they work out. I just removed them from the oven at about 7 minutes. They actually seem like quite done. Like they're bouncing back at the top, like they're firm. So they cooked quite quickly. So just watch that when you are cooking them. But now I'm just going to throw them on some cooling racks. I'm going to let them cool for a bit. And then we're gonna do the cinnamon sugar topping on it, which was my absolute favorite part. Okay, so I'm back with the donuts, and they've cooled quite a bit now, and I'm so excited, guys. Like, they actually are donuts. They feel fluffy. Look how cute they are. So anyways, now we're going to use another tablespoon of butter, which is listed in the ingredients. We're just going to spread that on top, and then I have here a mixture of tablespoon truvia, 1 tablespoon white sugar or brown sugar, and then like a pinch of cinnamon, just as much as you'd like to taste. You can put about half teaspoon or a teaspoon of cinnamon, it's up to you. But yeah, so what we're gonna do is just spread the butter on the donuts and dunk them in the cinnamon sugar, and it's gonna be amazing. So let's do it. Alright, look how beautiful it is. Oh, so excited. We're just gonna do the same with the rest of them now, so let's get going. Okay guys, so this is the final product. I made a huge mess, but honestly I think it's worth it. They look amazing. I'm so excited to try it. I'm actually gonna pick up one of the ones that's a little more ugly. We're gonna try that one. So I'm gonna open it up for you and show you what it looks like. Oh my god. And that's what the inside looks like. And now I'm gonna try it. Oh my god, guys. They're actually so good. I'm so happy with this recipe. Alright, so if you guys want to make this, the recipe will be in the comments below. And I'll put the macros down there as well. And I highly recommend you guys try this recipe because it is amazing. Let me know if you need any help with substitutions or switching things out that you may not have, and I'll be sure to do that. But yeah, make these donuts right now because they will make your life so much better. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment, subscribe, like if you would like more videos like this, and I'll be happy to do them. Thanks, and have a great day.